I didn't know how, and I was also afraid of men.
Really?
Oh yeah, I was afraid of men, yes.
It was an abortion, Michael. It was a son, and I had it killed because this.
The passing of Diane Keaton hit Hollywood like a lightning bolt, leaving fans stunned and heartbroken. But before the shock even settled, quiet whispers started spreading, hinting she made one last move nobody saw coming. Diane had secretly sold the Brentwood home she'd treasured for more than 15 years. To the people who truly knew her, that place wasn't just a house. It was her sacred spot, her masterpiece packed with memories, joy, and peace. So when she suddenly let it go, folks couldn't help asking questions. Why now? Was this just a simple choice, or was something deeper pulling the strings? Soon, the talk online shifted toward her two adopted sons, Duke and Dexter, with people wondering if they played a part. Those close to her claimed that during her final years, while she faced skin cancer and anorexia, she wasn't fully herself anymore. That's when rumors began swirling about a quiet plan behind the scenes, talk that someone might have been trying to gain control of her assets. The whole story started taking on a mysterious glow nobody could ignore. What made Diane walk away from her beloved home? And what was hidden inside her massive collection of prized pieces? The deeper you look, the more the story twists. Before her passing on October 11th, 2025, at 79, Diane Keaton had built a fortune estimated at around $100 million. Her wealth was spread across California and other prime locations, but real estate was always her crown jewel. Diane didn't just own houses, she transformed them into living art. Her design passion ran deep, a spark she picked up from her father who worked in real estate. Every home she restored told a personal chapter of her life. One of her most iconic projects was the historic Alfred Newman House created by Lloyd Wright, son of the legendary Frank Lloyd Wright, back in 1928. With its Mayan revival style and bold detail, the home became a Hollywood treasure. Set on a hillside with about 2,700 square feet across 4 dramatic levels, it had terraces, a pergola, a private pool, and striking geometric touches blending architecture with nature. When Diane bought it in the early 90s, it was falling apart, but she saw beauty where others only saw wreckage. With architect Josh Schweitzer by her side, Diane brought the masterpiece back to life, keeping every bit of oxidized copper, weathered wood, and vintage concrete intact. She added open spaces, smoother flow, and touches of her own style, mixing rustic charm with sleek elegance, antique pieces, industrial hints, and sunlight pouring across every room. This wasn't just a house, it was her creative hideout, the place where she dreamed, worked, and breathed inspiration. But in 2018, she shocked everyone by putting it on the market, selling it 2 years later for a stunning $9.25 million. That massive profit showed how sharp and fearless she was in real estate. That home stood for more than cash. It showed her evolution from passionate artist to powerhouse investor who could spot beauty and value instantly. Another gem she cherished was her Spanish colonial revival home in Beverly Hills, a gorgeous piece of California charm that looked like it belonged on a postcard. Diane oversaw every inch of that place. From the warm paint tones to the carefully chosen furniture, nothing happened without her eye on it. After buying it in the late 90s, she teamed up with designer Stephen Shaley to give it a fresh, modern twist while keeping its historic heartbeat alive. She even turned a simple entryway into a stunning library with vaulted ceilings and shelves stacked with art books. She ripped out the old, dull fireplace and replaced it with something bold and unforgettable, something that felt like her. Every corner reflected her vision, her taste, and her devotion to creating beauty that actually meant something. Diane's design sense moved like poetry, clean, elegant, and forever timeless. Her Brentwood home flowed with open space and sunshine, thanks to her obsession with large steel-framed windows that let the light slide from one room to the next, from the dining area to the family room. The whole place felt connected, smooth, and intentional, showing just how perfectly she balanced style and purpose. Every detail carried her signature touch, soft tones, natural wood, and meaningful pieces that told real stories. She had this rare talent for blending rustic charm with refined elegance, building spaces that felt warm, personal, and deeply sophisticated. It wasn't just another house, it was her living diary, filled with memories, creativity, and her lifelong love for art and architecture. And further west, she owned a breathtaking 20th century Adobe-style home in Tucson, Arizona, where she once again poured her heart into restoring it into something truly unforgettable. When she sold the Tucson home in 2020 for $2.6 million, after buying it for $1.5 million, it proved Diane wasn't just a Hollywood icon. She was a sharp investor who could turn forgotten spaces into pure treasure. But behind that success, her health was quietly slipping in ways the public never saw. Those close to her said her strength faded fast in her final months, but she refused pity. She kept her struggle private, protecting the people she loved from worry. Even her closest friends had no clue how serious things had become. Diane carried the pain in silence, showing the same quiet power she'd held her whole life. Then in March, she faced one of the hardest decisions she'd ever made, letting go of her Brentwood home, the place she once called her forever home. She purchased it in 2011 for $4.7 million, and it reflected her spirit in every corner. Every wall, every chair, every beam held her touch. She even documented its transformation in her book, The House That Pinterest Built, a love letter to creativity and design. But as her body weakened, the upkeep became too much. Her lifelong battle with anorexia had taken a heavy toll, leaving her frame fragile and her energy drained. Simple joys she once loved, painting, rearranging furniture, decorating, became exhausting tasks she could no longer push through. Years of delicate health left her bones thin, her shoulders narrow, and her strength fading away. Skin cancer added even more challenges. Surgeries made her skin sensitive, forcing her to avoid the sunlight she adored. By March 2025, it became painfully clear she couldn't maintain the Brentwood property anymore. The 5 bedrooms, 7 bathrooms, and every carefully curated detail had become overwhelming for her tired body. Even small chores felt like mountains. Tending the garden, sweeping the floor, straightening furniture, things she once did with joy turned into battles she couldn't win. And so, with a heavy heart, she made the choice to say goodbye to the home she considered sacred. Just 2 weeks before her passing, Diane listed the house for sale. And even though she knew it would eventually belong to someone new, she left behind more than furniture. She left memories, joy, and the love she'd poured into every corner. A close friend later revealed how quickly her illness progressed. Everything happened so fast, they said, their voice filled with sorrow. It's heartbreaking for everyone who loved her. In her final months, Diane kept her circle small, surrounded only by the people who mattered most, her family. They honored her wish for privacy, giving her the peaceful, graceful goodbye she deserved. For years, she lived a quiet, grounded life in Brentwood. She walked her dog every morning, sharing smiles with neighbors and chatting like everyone was part of her world. One neighbor remembered she had this magical energy, funny and deep at the same time. She talked to her dog like he was her oldest friend. Diane carried that classic Hollywood sparkle, the kind you can't fake, the kind that lights up a room without trying. Yet beneath the fame and iconic style, she was incredibly down-to-earth. She was the neighbor people waved to, the person who made a simple stroll feel warm. But one detail shook those who knew her. According to someone close to her, those peaceful morning walks suddenly stopped just months before the heartbreaking news. One quiet Saturday morning, emergency crews pulled up to her ivy-covered Brentwood home, a place overflowing with memories, and confirmed what nobody wanted to believe. Diane Keaton had passed away. The cause of death wasn't revealed right away, which only deepened the mystery surrounding her final days. The next morning, her son Duke, 25, was seen outside wearing 2 silver crosses, a small but powerful tribute to his iconic mother, known for her hats, her wit, and her effortlessly cool style. Beyond real estate, Diane had passions that made her even more unforgettable. She adored vintage cars. Her collection included a gleaming 1964 Ford Thunderbird and a 1970 Jeep Wagoneer, rides that reflected her perfectly, classic, bold, and completely one-of-a-kind. Each car had the same charm she carried on screen. On top of that, she held smart investments in stocks, funds, and steady royalties from her films and books, layering even more depth into her impressive $100 million fortune. But for Diane, money was never the mission. She once said, "I work to live and I live to do what I love." That line summed her up with perfect clarity. After her passing, everyone wanted to know who would inherit everything. Diane never married, but she dedicated her life to her 2 adopted children, Dexter Keaton White and Duke Keaton. Dexter, born in 1995 and adopted in 1996, is now 29 and married, while Duke, born in 2000 and adopted in 2001, is now 29 and married, lives a quieter life at 25. They were her heart, her purpose, her world. In a 2005 Life magazine interview, Diane admitted motherhood made her silently anxious to protect them. Those words hit harder now. Even though no public will has surfaced, experts believe Diane likely set up a family trust, a classic Hollywood move to keep everything private, organized, and tax-safe. Her estimated $100 million estate, including royalties and the beloved Brentwood property, will almost certainly go to Dexter and Duke, either split down the middle or however she arranged it behind closed doors. But as the legal process moved quietly, something louder began to stir. Rumors. Whispers floated across social media and gossip pages suggesting that her final sale of the Brentwood home wasn't just a personal decision, but a hint at something deeper. Some claimed Duke and Dexter may have encouraged her to sell the home she adored. The place filled with decades of laughter and memories. Online whispers painted a picture of a quiet family power shift, raising questions about whether Diane's final choices were truly her own. Posts and comments popped up across forums, hinting the brothers might have been positioning themselves to secure their inheritance. One anonymous post even claimed they knew when to act, a line that sent fans into a frenzy. Whether the claims had truth or not, they created a storm around a woman who spent her life avoiding drama. Suddenly, her legacy was caught between admiration and speculation. Friends who saw her near the end said she still carried that bright, familiar smile, but her eyes sometimes drifted, as if holding thoughts she never shared. Nobody really knew what she was feeling inside. Did she truly want to sell her home? Or had the decision been shaped by quiet family pressure only insiders understood? The more people talked, the murkier everything became. Online threads spiraled, articles popped up dissecting her estate, her independence, her family dynamics, turning her final chapter into a puzzle the world is still trying to piece together. Some people accused her sons of plotting, while others rushed to defend them. Many insisted Diane Keaton was far too sharp, too strong-willed, and too independent to ever let anyone control her. She built her empire from the ground up. Why would that ever change? Even with all the online noise, her reputation as one of Hollywood's most authentic souls stayed untouched. Her home might have changed hands, but her legacy of motherhood, artistry, and fearless individuality will never fade. Diane Keaton's story will always blend brilliance with mystery, a tale of independence, quiet power, and that classic touch of Hollywood intrigue. In the end, she lived by her own rules, never pretending to be anything but herself. She laughed loud, worked with passion, and loved with her whole heart. And even as questions swirl about her final choices, one truth stands firm. Diane Keaton lived her truth until the very last moment. She left this world exactly as she lived in it, with grace, mystery, and a quiet strength that felt unshakable. Her passing wasn't just the close of a legendary career. It was a farewell to a woman who embodied freedom, authenticity, and the beauty of choosing her own path. She once said in an interview, "Don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to say. My life is interesting enough, and that's enough." That wasn't just a quote. That was Diane, bold and unapologetic. Her goodbye carried the same energy, gentle, dignified, and true to who she was. Rest in peace, Diane Keaton. Your light still shines in every film frame, every laugh you left behind, and every heart you touched. Diane's words always revealed pieces of her character. She once said, "I don't want to sacrifice anything, and I don't need anyone to think I'm cool." That line captured her perfectly. Confident, grounded, and uninterested in chasing empty approval. To her, cool wasn't an act, it was freedom. Freedom to live, think, and be exactly who she was. That authenticity is exactly why she remained a Hollywood treasure for over 5 decades. Her final Instagram post in April said everything without saying much. It showed her smiling next to her golden-haired dog, Reggie, her loyal companion for years. That simple, warm image was Diane in pure form, joyful, grateful, and surrounded by love. When news of her passing broke, her friends and colleagues were stunned. Musician Carol Bayer Sager, who had collaborated with Diane just 10 months earlier on the song First Christmas, said she never knew Diane was sick. "I visited her about 2 weeks ago," Carol shared. "She was thinner, but her eyes were still full of light. I brought cookies, and she ate them like each bite was a gift." That moment, gentle, human, and full of warmth, became the goodbye Diane never spoke aloud. Life had thrown her some tough storms before the end. Not long ago, a fire severely damaged her beloved Brentwood home, forcing her to stay with friends in Palm Springs for nearly 5 months. When she finally returned, she poured her time into family, especially her children, her greatest pride and joy. She adored acting, but her kids were her world. She truly lived life to the fullest, Carol added, her voice full of emotion. After the heartbreaking announcement of her passing, tributes flooded in from every corner of Hollywood. Her father of the bride co-stars Steve Martin and Martin Short paused during a live show to honor her, calling her the heart and soul of their iconic film. Fans cried as they remembered her grace, wit, and that effortlessly original charm she carried everywhere she went. Then came the tribute from the legendary trio of the First Wives Club. With Bette Midler, Goldie Hawn, and Diane Keaton now heartbreakingly down to 2, Goldie's message said everything without needing much. Diane was magic. Pure, bright, unforgettable magic. "Diane, we weren't ready to lose you," one close friend wrote, their heartbreak spilling across the page. She was so humble she could barely take a compliment. But this time, nobody was staying quiet. Even Al Pacino, her longtime partner and one of the great loves of her life, was shaken. "Her passing completely surprised me," he admitted. They had dated during Hollywood's golden years, sharing a bond built on passion, creativity, and deep mutual respect. Pacino once revealed that Diane was the one who pushed him to take his legendary Godfather role. Without her, cinema history might look completely different. Their romantic chapter eventually closed, but their loyalty never faded. Her former partner and collaborator Woody Allen also spoke about her impact. "I never cared about reviews of my work, only what Diane thought," he wrote, a rare confession showing how deeply she influenced the people around her. That was Diane's quiet power, subtle but unforgettable. Her book club co-stars, Jane Fonda, Candice Bergen, and Mary Steenburgen, expressed deep sorrow, remembering her warmth, her humor, and the spark she brought to every set. Sarah Jessica Parker, who worked with her on The Family Stone, shared, "I will forever cherish the memories on set with her because Diane made life more beautiful simply by being there." Diane once said she didn't think much about legacy because, in her words, it's already there, complete and full. And she was right. Her legacy isn't just in films or fame, it's in her fearless individuality, her honesty, and her ability to love openly without pretending to be perfect. She showed us that real strength isn't loud, it's truthful. Just hours after the news broke, Reese Witherspoon was overwhelmed with emotion, saying through tears that Diane's passing left a silence too big to fill. Diane Keaton may be gone, but her spirit, the humor, the style, the authenticity will echo through Hollywood forever. Her story isn't just one of fame, it's one of freedom, and that's what made her unforgettable. When Reese spoke about her mentor, her voice carried both admiration and nostalgia. She remembered meeting Diane at just 15 during an early audition. Diane looked at her with that signature sparkle and asked, "Who are you?" Reese nervously answered, and Diane simply nodded and said, "Okay, you're in." That tiny moment changed everything. From then on, Diane became more than a mentor. She became a guiding force. She taught Reese how to move through Hollywood with grace, humor, and that unshakable confidence that filled a room without trying. "She faced her fears head-on," Reese recalled. "She taught me how to fight doubt and feeling underestimated." That kind of wisdom wrapped in kindness defined Diane's soul. Patricia Arquette, who worked with her on the 1991 TV movie Wildflower, echoed the same deep admiration. "I love Diane Keaton," she said. "She's one of a kind. There will never be anyone like her." Those words hit home for countless people who crossed Diane's path. They perfectly described a woman who lived boldly, authentically, and without apology. Her power wasn't just in her acting or her iconic style, it was in her attitude toward life. Diane lived with courage, creativity, and a sense of freedom that inspired everyone around her. She didn't need to shout to be unforgettable. Her very presence made its own kind of thunder. She never followed trends, she created them. From her iconic hats to her sharp suits to her fearless approach to aging, Diane Keaton redefined what it meant to be timeless. She once said, "Life only ends when you die, not when you turn 50, and she lived that line every single day. Age didn't scare her. It excited her. Every year was just another chapter she planned to own. Born on January 5th, 1946 in Los Angeles, Diane had showbiz stitched into her soul from the beginning. Her love for the stage started early, and by age 5, she already knew what she wanted: to perform. "I still need it," she once said about acting, describing that spark inside her that never faded. For her, acting wasn't a job. It was a calling, a place where she could lose herself and find herself at the same time. Her early years were all hustle and heart. In the 1960s, she hit Broadway, lighting up plays like Hair and Woody Allen's Play It Again, Sam. Her performance earned her a Tony nomination and cracked open the door to Hollywood. That role marked the beginning of a career that would help shape cinema for generations. Her major breakthrough came when she played Kay Adams in The Godfather in 1972, directed by Francis Ford Coppola. The film changed everything. Overnight, her name was everywhere. And then came 1977, Annie Hall. Her performance was so natural, witty, and honest that it won her the Oscar for Best Actress. Diane Keaton was officially a global icon, and she did it with her own quirky, charming style. Through the 1980s, Diane kept leveling up. She took bold risks, delivering complex performances that showed her emotional depth and fearless creativity. Her role as Louise Bryant in Reds, 1981, earned her a Golden Globe, while Shoot the Moon, 1982, displayed her raw intensity like never before. She wasn't just acting, she was living through her characters. Every role was a new challenge she met head-on. The 1990s and early 2000s brought another wave of unforgettable hits. Father of the Bride, 1991, The First Wives Club, 1996, and Something's Gotta Give, 2003, proved she could steal any scene with charm, wit, and authenticity. Something's Gotta Give even earned her another Golden Globe for Best Actress in a Comedy, proving her magic only grew stronger with time. By age 32, she had already won her Oscar, but she never stopped evolving. Even in 1997, when she earned another Oscar nomination for Marvin's Room, Diane stayed true to her roots. No flashy labels, no Hollywood ego, just her authentic self, her iconic black and white suits, vintage hats, and that confident grin that set her apart. Her style wasn't just fashion, it was a statement, bold, personal, and unmistakably Diane. And those hats? They were more than a look. They were part of her journey. She began wearing them after dealing with early skin cancer, both for protection and because she genuinely loved the style. Over time, they became her armor, part fashion, part identity. She even brought that same signature look into pop culture moments, like her appearance in Justin Bieber's music video, still shining with that one-of-a-kind confidence. But acting wasn't her only language. Diane overflowed with creativity. She directed Hanging Up in 2000, showing her gift for exploring family dynamics with humor and heart. Since the 1970s, she'd been a passionate photographer and art preservationist. Her photo books, Reservations, Still Life, and clown paintings revealed her unique eye for detail, nostalgia, and emotion. She even helped preserve historic architecture in Los Angeles, protecting beauty many people never even noticed. That was Diane. She saw value everywhere. She wasn't just an actress. She was a force of nature. She lived passionately, spoke honestly, and inspired countless people to embrace individuality without fear. From Broadway stages to Oscar nights, from behind the camera to quiet moments with her dog Reggie, every piece of her life told the same story: freedom, authenticity, and love. Her name will forever shine among Hollywood's brightest stars, but her spirit belongs to something even bigger: the art of living boldly and truthfully. Diane Keaton's legacy isn't just movies. It's a philosophy. Be bold, be real, be free. Her brilliance stretched far beyond film. She was an artist, a visionary, and a cultural pioneer whose influence touched architecture, photography, fashion, and countless hearts. Her 5-decade career showed endless creativity, persistence, and a spirit that refused to break. Every chapter of her life reflected curiosity, courage, and a deep hunger for storytelling in all forms. In her personal life, Diane never married, but she loved deeply, on her own terms. She had 3 powerful connections with Woody Allen, Warren Beatty, and Al Pacino. Each relationship left its mark, not just romantically, but creatively. They weren't just love stories. They were reflections of her independence and her refusal to let society write her script. Her first major romance was with Woody Allen in 1969 during their Broadway days. Their connection was instant, a mix of wit, intelligence, and timing that later helped shape films like Annie Hall and Manhattan. Though their romance faded, their friendship lasted a lifetime. Diane once joked, "We parted ways for reasons only God and Freud could understand," a line only she could deliver. That friendship came with controversy, though. When Woody Allen faced allegations that divided Hollywood, Diane publicly stayed loyal to him, writing, "Woody Allen is my friend and I continue to trust him." Some criticized her, but it reflected her lifelong habit. She followed her own compass, not the crowd. In the late 1970s, she fell in love with Warren Beatty while filming Reds, 1981. Their relationship was electric, creative, intense, and unforgettable. Warren was brilliant, mysterious, and a match for her artistic fire. They eventually parted ways, but the respect stayed strong long afterward. Then came Al Pacino, the magnetic force who shaped her heart during their years working on the Godfather trilogy. Their love had breakups, reunions, and moments straight out of the movies. Diane once said Pacino was the most fascinating man I've ever met. Handsome, brilliant, endlessly complex. Even though they didn't marry, their connection ran deep for decades. Despite those great loves, Diane never regretted staying single. To her, marriage felt restrictive, a beautiful prison, as she once called it, something that didn't fit her free spirit. She knew love didn't need a contract to be real, and happiness came from freedom. Motherhood became her greatest joy. In her 50s, she adopted her 2 children, Dexter and Duke, pouring her whole heart into raising them. "I will always be there for my children," she said, calling motherhood her proudest achievement. Her kids became her world, proof that love has many shapes and doesn't always follow tradition. Even near the end of her life, Diane stayed grounded and thoughtful. Before passing, she made the intentional decision to sell her beloved Brentwood home, the one she had restored so lovingly. Those ivy-covered walls weren't just real estate, they were living pieces of her history. By selling the home, she showed her practicality and grace, knowing when to release what no longer fit her journey. Her life was a balance of elegance and honesty, Hollywood glamour mixed with down-to-earth wisdom. Every choice she made reflected her belief that real beauty comes from sincerity, simplicity, and freedom. Diane Keaton's story isn't just about an actress. It's about a woman who shattered expectations, broke boundaries, and redefined what it means to live artfully. From Broadway to blockbuster films, from directing to photography, from architecture to motherhood, she embraced every chapter with courage and wonder. And even though she's gone, her influence is everywhere. In her films, her books, her saved buildings, and in the hearts she touched with her warmth and honesty. If you love Diane Keaton and cherish her extraordinary contributions to cinema, art, and life itself, make sure you celebrate her legacy. Like, subscribe to RumorFame, drop a comment, share this story, and we'll see you on the next one.